talk now. This MMA, what we talking about? Yeah, you tuned into the pod now. Gonna be hard for you to stop now. Yeah, we caged in. Yeah, we caged in. Yeah, we caged in.
Welcome back to another episode of Caged In. I'm your host, Chris DiCarlo. Today we got a very special guest making her debut on the show. It's Melissa Santos. How are we doing today, Melissa?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I know you got a big fight coming up, next weekend, March 30th. I appreciate you coming on here, taking a little bit of time and, talking to me about the fight coming up.
Yeah, definitely. Glad to be on. I'm super stoked, ready to go. We're nearing the end, so I'm pretty much right there on weight, getting some hard training in, getting the last sweats in, and ready to go. I'm ready for war. So.
Hell yeah, I love to hear that. You're going in there, Cage Titan 64 versus Erica Valentin, March 30th, Plymouth Memorial Hall. Before we get into the fight, let's talk about you a little bit, get to know you a little bit better, since this is your first time on the show. So we'll start at the top. Where were you born and raised, and what was growing up kind of like for you?
Yeah, so I was born and raised Lowell, Mass. So always been from the Mass area. I've done martial arts my whole life. So I did Taekwondo since I was 5. So it's always been a huge part of my soul and my heart for sure to just be combative and test my skills that way. And I stayed in the area. I still live in Lowell to this day. I'm a flight attendant now, so I travel all around, but Lowell will always be home. So.
There you go. And growing up, were you an athlete at all? Were you playing any conventional sports? And if so, which ones were you kind of dabbling in there?
Yeah, nothing crazy. I played basketball in middle school. And then in high school, I didn't do too much. I did some side things. I did flag football after I left high school for a little bit. So I've always loved sports, but I just didn't have the time allowed to really dedicate to a sport. I had my daughter super young. And so that was kind of just the route I had to focus on. And so that's pretty much it for that. I stayed pretty committed to Taekwondo when I was little. That's all I did when I left school. I mean, I went straight from school to Taekwondo class, and then I was on the competitive sparring team and the demo team. And so I would do like parades on the weekends and like go to schools and that kind of stuff. So That was like the basis for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then where did your introduction to the sport of MMA come in? And do you remember, the first time getting into the gym and what that kind of felt like and just that whole journey into MMA? What was that like for you?
Yeah. Like I mentioned, I went up into Taekwondo to get my second degree black belt, and then I had my daughter. And so I kind of took a step back away from that and didn't really do anything for a little while. I was just kind of a gym rat. And then I met Jake about 6 years ago. And that's when I was kind of reintroduced. He had a very similar background, grew up doing traditional sports, traditional martial arts, and then went off to obviously go lengths in MMA and jiu-jitsu. So when I met him, I was super interested, definitely wanted to dive in and see what I could do. And a couple of years in, I jumped into the jiu-jitsu and MMA. That was probably around COVID time. Which was it was just a couple of us training. I mentioned this on Cage Titans last night. I was thrown in a room full of dogs, and like I literally am super blessed for the intro I had into jiu-jitsu, because I think it is definitely I've been spoiled. But I was in a room with John Doomsday Howard, Brian Caldwell, Jake Ferry, Brendan Murat was coming around at the time, Jake Pilla. So that was my introduction into jiu-jitsu and MMA. And so they could beat the crap out of me, but they just showed me the ropes, and that was my intro. And so that's when my full MMA and jiu-jitsu journey started. And then we just kind of, maneuvered my Taekwondo to start working for MMA. And now I'm a 3-tip blue belt, and I'm feeling pretty well rounded everywhere, and very lucky for the guidance I've gotten in this journey. So
for sure. And you could have obviously just been in the gym and training and using the sports, stay in shape that way. But what kind of switch where you wanted to get into the cage and actually compete in the sport rather than just be a body in the gym?
Yeah, I've always been super competitive. So no matter what I do, I want to do it on the highest level and the best that I can do it. So I knew the minute that I got into MMA and jiu-jitsu that I was going to want to compete and fight. I was very similar with my Taekwondo journey. Like when I was little, I kind of threw all the traditional stuff away. I didn't want to do any normal classes anymore. I just wanted to go and compete in comps every weekend. So I
Right.
knew that I was going to want to compete and that I was going to want to fight. And so it was kind of just, when can I test my limits? When can I get in a comp? Hey, like when can I get in this? So that's always been kind of at the back of my mind when I've been training. I always want to, try to see where I'm at and test my abilities.
For sure. And, Saturday night on March 30th, when you do compete at Cage Titans, you've only had one amateur MMA fight, one kickboxing fight. So there are a lot of people in the region that maybe haven't seen you fight before. For those people that will be there to watch you fight, can you kind of describe your fight style to them?
Yeah, I think you have a lot more to see, and so I'm excited. I think I got a funky style. I don't think you can kind of pinpoint exactly what my style is. I think I, started with a lot of comfortability with my legs and feeling very strong with my taekwondo and my speed. But now I've gotten very, very comfortable with my jujitsu game as well. So I think you can look forward to seeing a little bit of everything and not being afraid to go to the ground, not being afraid to be on the wall, not being afraid to stand and bang. So yeah, I don't know. I would just say, just keep watching and you're going to see.
Awesome. Let's get into your MMA debut a little bit. It took place in June of 2023 at Combat Zone 80, where you went in there and got a knockout victory over Danielle Okula 29 seconds into round one. How did it feel in your official amateur MMA debut to go out there and make a statement like that?
It felt awesome. It feels, it felt incredible. I don't think, you always want the best case scenario, right? You always want to go
Mm.
in there and end it quick or have some crazy knockout or some big finish. But, the plan was just go in there and put the hard work out there. And the fact that it ended as quickly as it did feels amazing. Um, but that's just, you go in there and you implement a game plan, and if something awesome happens, cool. But if not, I'm always down to be in there for as many rounds as it is. And yeah, we just implemented a game plan, and the game plan worked. We knew she was going to come in, hot and heavy. We knew she was going to press forward. The whole plan was, to be able to move backwards, angle off, and fire, and that's what happened. So
You hit her with, that clean right hand that put her down. You were moving backwards as she was coming in. Um, what was going through your mind in that moment when you hit her with the right hand and you saw her kind of face plant on the canvas? Could you remember what was going on in your mind at that point?
Uh, not exactly. I do remember being like, "Holy crap!" Like she's on the ground because I'm shuffling backwards. I'm looking to angle
Mhm.
off and fire, and I honestly, in my mind, thought that I'd be taking her out with my legs. And when I hit her with the two, she went down. And so I think you can see me for a minute, be like, "Oh!" And I had to come forward, like, "Oh shoot, she's down," and I got to make sure that I finish this off. So I'm
Mhm.
always told you don't stop until that ref tells you it's over. So.
Exactly. And when the ref jumped in there, you immediately hit a pretty clean celebration there. Is that something that you had planned, or is that something that was just off the cuff?
It was kind of a funny thing with the gym. I had been talking about how, everybody's got their fight name, and I want it to come naturally and I don't want to force anything. And a couple of the guys in the gym just started joking about the sandstorm and like, come on, you're so quick and fat, like you
Mhm.
spin and like whatever, you should just be the sandstorm and like it's gonna grow on you, don't worry. And we kind of joked in the gym, like, yeah, like when I finish, like I'll just, like a sand tornado and blow the sand all over. And like we kind of just joked about it. And it was like I
Right.
did not want to commit to the name at all. And then when I knocked her out, I was like, I gotta own this for the team, gotta own this for the boys. So I just did it. And now it's I think it's just, how can I not own it after that?
Of course, the celebration was definitely electric and you pulled it off clean. It looked great. And of course, to hit a celebration like that after a clean victory like that, I think that kind of encompassed your entire MMA debut. And I don't think you can really ask for a better one than that, to be honest.
Yeah, very grateful for how it turned out. But, I owe that all to my team, my coaches. They don't send me out there unprepared.
Mhm.
And so that's where my confidence comes from. It doesn't come from having any crazy power or this or that. It comes from, I have full confidence in that my team prepares me to get out there and do what I need to do. And it doesn't matter what the results are. I know I'm putting everything that I worked on in the gym out there, and that's going to show for itself.
There you go. That debut was in June of 2023. Like I said, it's now been about 8 months since we've seen you. What's been kind of keeping you on the sidelines, and are you excited now or to scratch that itch to get back into the action?
Yeah, I wanted to stay super active. It's just tough. It's tough to find opponents. tough to get cards to work always. And so sometimes it just doesn't line up right. Sometimes the timing's not right. Sometimes the opponent just isn't right. So it's, there's, you probably know best. It's just, there's a lot behind it that before a fight goes into play. So many factors. I wish I could have gotten there sooner, but we finally got the fight locked in and ready to go. And so I'm just excited to get back in there.
There you go. Let's talk about your training camp a little bit. I know you are over at Gorilla Crew. For those that aren't too familiar, can you describe the vibe of your gym and, the culture that you guys are building over there?
Yeah. I'm biased, obviously. And I think our energy in our gym is unmatched. We truly are a huge family. Everybody who goes in there can feel it. We're always joking, we're laughing, we got music bumping. It's really a good vibe. I'm never, dragging my feet to training. I can't wait to get in there. If I'm having a tough day, I know that the guys are going to make me laugh. I know that we're going to have a good time in there. And we ride for each other. Like any one of us is fighting, any one of us is competing. We got a group there. We're all, cheering each other on the mats, off the mats. So even in life things, we get together for fight nights and all types of stuff. So we're a very tight knit group. We open our arms to everybody who comes into that gym too. So and then along with that, all our affiliates, we've got a huge family up here with FAF. That's where I'm at right now. I just finished some training. We got a huge family over with Burgess, BJJ Boston with Brian Caldwell. I'm very lucky that Jake is he's got so many connections in the game. Truly is a good dude. So having that connection for him has also brought that connection for our gym. And so we're a big loving gym.
There you go. I'd love to hear that.
Cross train, always trying to have a good time. So
Of course. Who have been some of your main training partners for this camp specifically? Is there anybody, specifically that you've been getting the most work in with for this one?
I would say definitely Jake Bernard, just because we're both fighting on the same card. It's a battle buddy, and so we're getting all the same rounds, we're cutting weight together, all that kind of stuff. He's got definitely a chunk of pounds further than I do, so a little bit tougher for him. But he's about very similar height too, so it's a perfect battle buddy to have during this journey. But truly, everybody in the gym, everybody gives us work, and I got Ryan Wackrow in there. I got Joey Navarro, who's fighting this weekend for a kickboxing fight, so he's been a huge added part to this game as well, to this fight camp. Excuse me. And then obviously on my coaches, but truly, I'm a firm believer in that everybody in that room gives me work. I mean, even the guys who barely move around or whatever, sometimes it's got me thinking about things I wouldn't think of. And, those tall guys that I would never be matching in the ring, I'm watching the jab and I'm like, oh, I'm getting tagged with jabs. And so everything's work.
There you go. Let's get into it then. Cage Titans 64. You're going in there versus Erica Valentin, who is 4-6 as an amateur. This fight is going down at 120-pound catch weight. What do you know about your opponent, and then how do you feel about her game?
I watched, a couple of her fights just to get an idea of where she was at. I do know that she has a lot of fight experience, and that's kind of, where all my respect goes, is you can't deny the time in the ring. And so I know that, I respect that. And so, I mentioned this last night, I'll keep that in mind, but that doesn't diminish my confidence in what I'm going to go out there and do. I got to focus on me and what my game is and implement what I know I can do. Other than that, I got to respect where she's coming from and the years under her belt and the time in the cage. But I'm just going to, I got to keep my focus on me moving forward.
Of course. And, when you look at the fight and you break it down stylistically, where do you see yourself having the biggest advantages versus her?
I don't have a confident answer for that, and only because I do feel pretty comfortable wherever this fight may go. And that's not in a way to say that I feel like I'm going to dominate in every area, or I just feel confident in the tools that I have to be able to effectively get to where I need to be if I feel threatened, if I feel like I'm in a bad spot. But I think that from what I see, I think, if we strike, it's going to be a good time. I think we're both going to, lay it on each other, and we'll both go out and strike. And I love that. We'll have a good time. And from what I've seen from the ground, I think we would both have, some trade-offs there as well. So I'm not really worried about where it goes. I just think that I think we're gonna go out there and put on a good show for everybody, no matter what.
For sure. I definitely agree. I think the matchup is a very exciting matchup for both of you. I think it's going to be a fight that everybody needs to be in their seats for, because I think both of you guys are definitely bringing a very high level, even though she might have an experience advantage over you. Just seeing the skills that you've brought in your previous two fights, I think the matchup here makes a lot of sense for both of you. And I think it's going to be an extremely exciting fight for the fans inside Plymouth Memorial Hall. And you mentioned it, she does have the experience advantage over you. Is that something that obviously does that play a factor into your game plan for her? And specifically, just knowing that she has definitely a bigger fight experience advantage over you.
I think the only difference that it makes is, like I said, I just have to respect that. I have to respect that, she just might have, a calmness in there from being in there a couple of times, but that's really it. I think that as long as I focus on me and my calmness and what I need to bring to the table, I think that that's all I can do.
For sure. And this is going to be your first fight for Cage Titans. What have you heard about, the Cage Titans experience, and are you excited to get in there and perform inside Plymouth Memorial Hall?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I've been watching, Cage Titans for a little while. All the local organizations. You're trying to get your name in, trying to get a fight, trying to get a matchup. I obviously my last two fights were with Combat Zone. I love them over there. I love Cal. Love the family. So, I've always been happy to fight for them. But I am excited to dip my toes into something new. And be in a new area, a new organization. Any more exposure I can get is awesome, and so they do a good job at that. So I'm excited about that as well. And yeah, so it'll be fun. It'll be fun to go down there and try something new.
There you go. And what can the fans inside Plymouth Memorial Hall expect from Melissa Santos once the cage doors lock on March 30th?
They can just expect me to leave it all out there, and it's going to be a good fight to watch. So don't miss it. Tune in.
There you go. And, we are still early in 2024. Your fight will be at the end of March. Still plenty of time left for you to get some more fights in. Ideally, do you know how many more you would like to have before the end of the year?
I don't have a number on it. I just want to stay active, stay active, stay fit, stay ready to go. As long as the matchups come my way and they make sense, I won't, I'll be in there. So.
There we go. All right, Melissa, before I get you out of here, where can the people come find you, and any sponsors or anybody you need to shout out before you go?
Yeah, I am at all my social medias as Melly Santos. So you can find me, on Instagram and all that fun stuff. And then just shout out to my team, Gorilla Crew, Gorilla Fitness. Shout out to all my coaches and all the work that they put in for me. I, can't appreciate them enough. Shout out to my family, who's always supported me. My daughter, who's my little mini, is always right there with me. And then I've got some posts coming up for some sponsors. So tune in for that. And yeah, that's it.
There we go. All right, Melissa, best of luck on March 30th. Thank you for coming on here and taking your time to talk to me. I appreciate it. And I'll see you inside the arena. What is it, next Saturday?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll be there.
Got down for the count and he can't even talk now. This MMA, what we talking about? Yeah, you tuned into the pod now. Gonna be hard for you to stop now. Yeah, we caged in. Yeah, we caged in.